Brendan Allen's a perfect example. Like, bro, I was high on Brendan Allen.
Me too.
And I was like, fuck, dude, like, don't get me wrong. Like, you can come back from that, but I expected so much more from him. And I'm sure he feels disappointed in himself as well, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, no one can be harder than yourself when you wake up the next day. And I felt like he probably woke up that next day very disappointed in his own self. He knew he could have done better. I'm sure he could have.
Did you see his post though? He said he was like somewhere along the way he lost himself. I personally like, if we're breaking shit down right now, I'll say it. First thing that came to mind is his new girl. I don't know if he fell in love, but maybe that could be, when these guys fall in love and going in between relationships. I think he left his last girl and then he got a new girl. So he's dealing with heartbreak, getting with a new lady,
You know, we're all human.
all human. But I
All
think that's might be what he's referring to when he's like, I lost myself a little bit. I got to find myself again, like lock back in.
But I'll even add another layer to that is like, you're on a 7 fight win streak, right? You
Hmm.
almost get to a point where you feel untouchable.
Right.
And so you get kind of put back down to earth, like, all right, we may need to go back to the whole drawing table and scratch everything up and start the fuck over. I was just watching that Tom Brady quote and about Baker Mayfield. And did you see that?
No, I didn't.
I have to send it to you, dude. I mean, Tom Brady's what, the GOAT, right?
Go.
Right. And Baker Mayfield went on in a podcast and said, Tom Brady had everybody stressed the fuck out. Tom Brady went and said, well, for me being stressful was not winning Super Bowls. He was so consumed with winning, bro. Like that's all he had in his mind. And I think a lot of it, Sean O'Malley.
Right.
Man, I don't know what he was thinking, honestly. Like you really you were at a point where you could have been a legend, the next Connor, to the point where it's like now you're like, who? When are you gonna get back there?
Facts. I think he dabbled too much in that fucking celebrity world, if you ask me. Getting
You
sponsored
do,
by Jake Paul.
you have an opportunity, right? There's these little windows to become
Facts.
legends. Alex Pieta this weekend, but he's gonna have an opportunity right now to become a legend.
Right.
And I always see people don't talk shit about Anderson Silva, but they don't like understand what he really did.
Oh, I do.
Right. But when he went in there, he demolished people. And he had, I just think he still has the most consecutive title championships in a row.
Yeah, because I think Kamaru was going to beat it, and he didn't.
So Anderson's problem, he's a GOAT. His thing was that he just he's too cocky, bro.
He got cocky.
But that was him. Even like how Sean O'Malley like put his hands down and shit like that. That's just Anderson. And it finally bit him in the ass.
Yeah.
And I always felt like that's why GSP is such a legend, because he knew exactly the right time when to retire and say, you know what, I'm done. And
Right.
that's for fighters to do. We see all of them still trying to chase it. It's a high, you know what I mean? It's a high that they get on, and I understand that. You know what I mean? Like and especially with fighters, if that's all you know, what do you resort to when you retire? And now they're doing the media and stuff like that, giving you another lane. But it's so interesting, circle back around with Brandon Allen, when you get the loss and to become great, you really need to look yourself in the mirror and start, you know, finding your motivation.
Right. But dude, we can't gloss over the fact that the French Commission completely fucked him.
I agree.
Let's call it spade a spade. Dana's in here, bro. I was laughing. I'm like, bro, make it make sense, Dana. Like, I respect you. And I was actually sorry, I might go off tangent, but let's try. I'll circle it in. Like,
Yeah.
I was also gonna say about trying to operate with fighters, right? I think because we touched on that, and I have to think the same way because we're guys who are actually not just like internet type things. We're putting our face out there. We want to like go show up to these events and like make relationships. But you see a lot of these other accounts, they just fucking be posting like whatever the fuck they want because they don't have any intentions on like building relationships. So with that being said, right, I
And
was
they
trying
don't
to be
understand the business side of it, though.
yeah, I don't even think they make money, to be honest with you. But it seems like you and me both, we're in the same thing where we're trying to like, actually create a real business.
Yeah.
And that's our advantage. A lot of these guys aren't trying to start a real business. And at the end of the day, we're going to succeed with that.
Right.
But to tie that all in is, I was laughing my ass off about Dana talking about the French Commission being like, you know, it's true, it happened, and I completely understand how they feel that way, but it's not true. And I'm like, dude, Dana, like, chill the fuck out, dude. Just side with fucking Brendan. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, I mean, it just make fair fair.
Like, I don't know what the point in saying it was not true. Brandon's entitled to his opinion
Yeah.
that they fucked him and that they're corrupt. That's his opinion based off what happened to him. So that can't not be true. Of course, like Brandon saying they're corrupt doesn't make them corrupt. So like I think Dana was putting too much weight on that. But the real thing is like, bro, you held him back. I actually looked into this shit. Brendan, I rewatched that video 3.5 hours later. He said, he goes, 3.5 hours later, I'm going back up to my room.
On
Bro,
on his Instagram story.
on his Instagram in that viral video, he said 3.5 hours later. And it's like Jim Miller. I don't know if you watched the whole clip because Jim Miller was fucking, you know, talking way too much. Jim Miller's got to work on that. But Jim Miller said that by forcing them to re-speed up the hydration process, it forces them to dump water again, which actually is like counterintuitive. Like that's why rehydrating is something that's like calculated. Like you do these fluids with the
The
carbs.
site. Yeah.
And so by making them guzzle water to be able to piss, forced him to drain more water, and he probably didn't rehydrate properly that night. And now he's going in to fight Nasruddin. So putting that out there for everybody, you know what I'm saying? The French Commission fucked him.
Okay. I see where you're going with that. Yeah, no,
Right.
it definitely is another layer that you
Yeah.
have to add to the equation, and that fighter didn't have to go through that. So
Not to take away from Nasruddin, but it's like, bro, you guys can't be doing that. I'm just talking straight up about
yeah.
he was probably going into that fight less hydrated than he should have been. You
No,
know,
it makes it's a huge deal. That is
that's
a
a
huge
huge deal.
deal. Huge deal. It takes probably 10 to 20% away of what who you really your full strength.
Right.
So I get it. I get it.
Fucking spend 20 minutes in the sauna. I do that pretty often and I'm like dying. I have to get out of there. You know what I'm saying? So these guys, imagine that shit. With Nasruddin though, respect, man. Brendan did have kind of at some point he was just shooting for those takedowns, but again, he might have been exhausted and I'm sure he probably was getting gassed out standing up. So he has to keep shooting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see how he rebounds from this because I think he's better than Imavov. I just do.
I thought, honestly, if I'm being real, yeah, I thought Brendan was going to take that one, but
That's why they go in the ring, right?
right. They got to find out. And now it's like Imavov, he wants Sean Strickland over a title shot. But Sean wants to sit there for the title shot next. So we'll see what's going to happen with Imavov. I'm honestly not too invested in his career. I'm just being real.
Or Imavov?
Yeah.
I mean,
Respect to him, but I'm just telling you the truth.
yeah. I don't know where I sit. I'm interested to see where things shake out.